My dear friends, I warmly welcome you all to today's session, your first session for the ACCA subject F2, that is basically relating to managerial accounting. All right. This subject is also known as management accounting, and sometimes we also refer this subject as cost accounting. All right. So basically, this subject has more than one names. Before we formally proceed towards starting our education in this particular subject, I feel it important to introduce myself to you guys. So, this is Muhammad Hamza Suhail from the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and I'm your instructor for this subject. I'm certified in accounting and finance by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, and currently I am pursuing my CA final qualifications. I am also a qualified member of the Institute of Public Accountants Australia and also a qualified member of the Institute of Financial Accountants United Kingdom. And currently, I am also serving as a faculty member of Smart Study ACCA, and also I am involved in professional practice in audit and assurance in one of the top 10 professional accounting firms across the globe. All right. So this was my brief introduction, and I do hope that we all will go very well along, and we will complete this syllabus in time and with proper explanations and proper uh, practice. All right. So my dear friends, first of all, let me tell you guys a brief introduction about the subject as well. And even before that, let me tell you guys what you are actually doing and what must be your plans. Basically, you guys have joined the ACCA stream, all right? And whenever we talk about ACCA, so basically, it is an abbreviation for a proper terminology, that is Associate Certified Chartered Accountant. My dear friends, whenever this particular terminology is seen by you written anywhere, or whenever someone speaks this terminology, or whenever you write it yourself, or you hear it from someone, or you speak it yourself, basically, what is the thing that comes into your mind? There is only one thing that comes into your mind, and that is numbers. Basically, the typical or traditional function or the perceived function of an accountant is to deal with numbers. What are numbers? Numbers are basically not only the numerical integers, or you can say numerical alphabets in the world of mathematics. Rather, whenever we talk about the field of accounts and the job of accountants, so numbers are basically interpreted in a number of ways. For example, one of the typical functions of an accountant is to maintain all the financial information of a business. All right. So, what is the financial information? The financial information is basically a game of numbers that are arranged in different manners, all right, that are basically presented in different ways and that have different meanings, all right. So let me tell you guys some of the functions that accountants serve in business environment, all right. So basically, whenever we talk about the role of accountants in an organization, so the accountants are typically associated with different accounting systems. And accounting systems are basically those tools and methodologies that are used to identify a financial transaction whenever it occurs, identify, number two, record, number three, first of all, we classify. I will explain these things one by one. Classify, then record, then summarize, then interpret, and then report or communicate. What? Financial information. All right? Financial information. So basically, whatever I was telling you about numbers, so numbers are basically not something, a piece of cake. It is basically, it can be as simple as writing an integer for mathematics, let's say 1 or 2, and it can be as complex as the things that I have written over here. All right? So my dear friends, actually, whenever we talk about business organizations, all right, or the commercial organizations, so basically in the lifetime of a business organization, there are many events. Just like in the lifetime of a human being, he experiences different events. Sometimes there are happy events, sometimes there are sorrowful events, all right? So similarly, in the lifetime of a business suffers or passes through various events. Some of the events are basically financial events, and by financial events, we mean those events that are related to money or finance. Whereas the events can also be non-financial. And what are non-financial events? Non-financial events are those events that are basically not relating to financial information, or they are not relating to money. So financial events are known as financial transactions. Financial transactions. And in the lifetime of a business undergoes a number of financial transactions. For example, you know, and you have studied it in F1, that a business can be established in three main forms. It can either be a manufacturing business, means that whatever it sells, it produces it its own self, and after producing the good, it sells it. It's basically takes it into the market and sells that particular item. A business can also be a trading business, all right? And what is the function of a trading business? The function of a trading business is to purchase inventory and then sell it to the customers while retaining some of the profit for the owners, all right? Or a business can either be a service business, all right? What is a service business? For example, a university, a commercial hospital, or a private hospital. All these businesses are basically providing services to people, and in return of those services, they are basically charging money from them, all right? So whenever a business actually produces something, obviously there is some sort of money, there's some sort of financial information attached to that manufacturing. And whenever that manufactured product is sold to the customers, obviously this means that some sort of inflow of cash is received by the business. So this is basically a financial event that we will call a financial transaction. Whenever you talk about a trading business, so this means that whenever the business purchases a material, so this purchase of material will result in an outflow of cash by the business. And when this purchased material will be sold, this means that customers will pay money for the material they have purchased. So ultimately, this selling transaction will result in an inflow of cash to the business. All right? So since money is involved in the purchase of materials and it is also involved in the selling of that material, so we can say that a trading business is also engaged in various financial transactions during its lifetime. When we talk about service transactions, so like I am just delivering my teaching services to you and you are paying for these services. So since in this transaction, again, money is involved, so this particular transaction is also basically a financial event that we will call a financial transaction. So whenever a financial transaction actually takes place, Now here, let me remove the word information and write transaction over here. Whenever a financial transaction takes place, so it is basically the responsibility of the accounting systems and indirectly the responsibility of the accountants to first of all identify that a financial transaction has taken place. Once that transaction has been identified, then it is the job of the accounting systems, and in other words, the job of the accountants, to classify what kind of transaction it is. Once the financial transaction has been identified, then it is the responsibility of the accounting system and the accountants to classify that transaction into its category. If you guys have studied F3 financial accounting, you guys will be familiar that basically transaction can either be an asset, an expense, a liability, or similar item, all right? So if you guys have not yet studied F3, so I'm not going in detail of this particular term. However, classification means dividing things into their under their appropriate headings. Now, once the transaction is classified, it is then recorded into the books of accounts, and within some intervals of time, this information is summarized, because summary of information is very helpful in understanding. All right, helpful in understanding. And after this information is summarized, basically we obtain understanding of this information, and to obtain understanding of information, this terminology is basically known as interpretation. Interpretation means attaching meaning or extracting meaning from some information. Once that information is basically interpreted, then it is basically reported to the people for whom this information has been prepared. Now, my dear friends, the subject of our discussion is basically management accounting. All right, but right now I have given you a brief introduction of the complete information or the complete work that an accountant performs. All right, so basically accounting can be classified broadly into two subcategories. One category or one discipline of accounting is known as financial accounting. All right, and the other discipline, the other important discipline of accounting is basically known as management accounting. All right, now what is the prime difference between financial accounting and management accounting? Let me throw some light on this difference, and then we will move forwards. All right, financial accounting is basically studied in ACCA in the subjects F3, F7, and when you go towards advanced accounting, so SBR and subjects like this. If you talk about management accounting, so basically F2 is the fundamental subject to understand the basics of management accounting, and then when you will study the subjects regarding financial management, etc. There's I believe these are I believe F9 and subjects like this. So you will basically get more idea about management accounting and cost accounting in those subjects. All right, about financial management. So basically financial accounting is done to report to the owners of the business. And in case of a company, you know that these owners are basically known as the shareholders. All right. Whereas if you talk about the management accounting, so this management accounting is performed not for external purposes. By external purpose, I mean owners or people who are basically not belonging within the organization. All right. So management accounting is actually performed for what? For whom? It is performed for the management, so that the management can make different decisions. All right. Now we will discuss these details later on, but before that, let me give you guys an example. All right. Now let's suppose that you are a manufacturing business. Your business is basically a manufacturing business, and this means that you are involved in producing goods for sale, and once those goods are produced, you sell the goods that are produced. All right. So if the management wants to decide what price must be charged for the goods to the customers, all right, let me explain you guys this scenario once again. We are assuming that we are running a business that is actually a manufacturing business, and we know that a manufacturing business is actually involved in, first of all, the production of goods that are intended for sale, and once those goods are produced, this business is actually involved in the sale of these goods. Now, one important question that must come in the sight of the management is that what price must be charged for these goods. All right. So in order to decide the selling price that must be charged for these goods, you must know one thing: the cost that you are incurring in producing that good. All right. So my dear friends, what is the function of management accountants? The function of the management accountants is to calculate the cost of production of the good in order to assess the selling price, because obviously the good that is being produced by the business would be sold by keeping some sort of profit, and the profit cannot be determined unless and until we do not have proper information, that is accurate information about the good, about the cost of the good that has been produced. All right. So basically, my dear friends, there are different terminologies that you must get yourself familiar with. One of the important terminologies is basically data. Now, for all kind of decisions that you may need to make, you need some kind of data. All right. For example, if you want some information, let's suppose that you are basically engaged in some of the government's projects, and you need some information about the accidents that have taken place on a particular road in a particular city. All right. Now you basically make some research and come up with the data that is basically representing that let's suppose 200 accidents have taken place. All right. Now this particular piece of finding that you have actually resulted in the form of your research, this is basically known as data. All right. Now this is basically raw data. Raw data means that this is not processed, and you cannot obtain a proper understanding if you want to dig deep into this particular data that is basically in front of you. You cannot make a meaning out of it. All right. Why can you not make a meaning out of it? Because you are unaware of the number of car accidents, the number of bike accidents, and the reason that was behind those accidents. All right. And also you are unaware of the number of accidents that have taken place. Let's suppose this data covers a period of 30 days. So you do not know how many accidents take place per day on an average. So if this data is basically arranged in any of these forms, for example, per day average, or bike, or car, or you can say any other standard. So when this data is basically arranged in some form, So the data will now be called information. All right, my dear friends. So this is basically two important terminologies that you guys must always remember, that whenever you are basically discussing things about data, because you know data is the most important thing. Data will be used for everything being an accountant. For example, if you remember, so this was basically the introduction of this chapter that I gave you, that what is the function of an accountant. So financial transaction or financial information is basically all data about the finances of an organization that is basically arranged in a particular manner in order to have some meaning from that information. And then when the data is basically arranged in some way or another, the data is now transformed into information. Information can now easily be understood. Information can now be used for extracting some more information from it. All right. So this is basically, there are two important terminologies, data and information. All right. So my dear friends, let me now tell you guys a few things about your syllabus and about your exam. All right. So if you talk about the syllabus of financial accounting, so if you consult the book that we will share with you guys, so basically your syllabus comprises of 6 sections, and I am arranging these sections in an alphabetical order for your convenience and understanding. All right. Section A is basically related to data and information management. Information management. Just the things I was discussing right now about data and information. So basically we have a complete grid included in our syllabus that will deal with how we treat data and information and how we manage this data. All right. The second distinction in our syllabus is basically about data analysis. All right. Because data is of no use to us if we do not bring it to our use. All right. If you just collect data and then you take no actions on it, you take no advantage of that data, or you take no decisions on the basis of that data. So this means that you just wasted your efforts in collecting it in the first place. All right. So basically data is always collected so that you can make some meaning out of it. This particular thing is known as data analysis, and we always analyze data by making use of some statistical techniques. All right, that we will study in detail in our syllabus. Statistical techniques. The third distinction of our syllabus relates to cost accounting techniques, and this is basically an interesting portion of our syllabus. All right, here you will actually learn how can you find the per unit cost of a good that is produced, all right, by an organization. Now here let me tell you guys one important thing, that whenever we talk about management accounting or cost accounting in particular, so we normally discuss about a manufacturing business most of the time, because a manufacturing business involves a lot of cost, and being a cost accountant, it is basically our responsibility to ensure that all the costs are basically managed efficiently, so that the organization can basically manage all its expenses and costs in an economic manner. The fourth part of your syllabus relates to budgeting. Again, this is a very interesting area of the syllabus. Now, my dear friends, in order to analyze data, in order to find the per unit cost of any good purchased or produced, or in order to forecast, budgeting is also known as forecasting, all right? Or in order to make budget for some coming period of some period, all right, all you need is data. So basically data and information are two most important things that you have to understand throughout this particular subject. The fifth part of your syllabus relates to standard costing. I'm not going in detail of what standard costing is right now, because this is basically the start of your classes, and if I discuss about it, so it will make you guys confused and nothing more. So we will discuss about standard costing when it will be the right time to discuss it. And afterwards, the sixth part of the syllabus relates to performance measurement. As the name indicates, performance measurement relates to measuring the performance of the organization. All right. So my dear friends, let me tell you guys that these six parts of the syllabus, they include both theoretical parts as well as the numerical parts. All right. So all you guys need to do is, you guys must always pick your concepts and remember them, and your concepts must be clear. And here it will be my responsibility to ensure that all your concepts are correct and they are properly developed in your minds. All right. The other important thing is that we will share all the study materials that will be required by you to study and understand and grasp before you appear in your examinations. All right. And it will be the teacher's responsibility that I explain the concepts to you. However, this is never possible for the teacher to cover the book or the study text or any notes provided word by word to the students, because this will never be possible to complete this syllabus in a limited time if one by word we are discussing the terminologies of the book. All right. So it is never possible for the teacher, and never possible for the teacher to cover the book word by word in the class. So it is basically the responsibility of the students. Whatever they learn in the class that particular day in that particular lecture, they revise those concepts from the book, they give it a read and come up with their questions, if any, and tell this teacher so that the teacher may respond to those queries and questions accordingly. All right. Now, my dear friends, let me tell you guys a few things about the exam pattern as well. All right. So if you talk about your exam, so basically the exam consists of two parts. It consists of two sections, section A and section B. All right. So section A constitutes of basically 35 compulsory multiple choice questions, or you can say objective type questions, objective based questions, and each question is of 2 marks. This means that the total weightage of section A is basically of 70 marks, and in this section A, all portions of the syllabus, that means all the 6 parts, can be tested. All right. Whereas if we talk about section B, so the section B consists of 3 compulsory questions, each question carrying 10 marks, and these 3 questions will be asked from your portion C, D and E of the syllabus. All right. So this means that the overall paper would be balanced. All right. And this means that if section C, D and E of the syllabus is covered in detail in section B, so this means that section A will be focusing more on the other aspects of the syllabus. So overall, let me tell you guys that the total or the overall paper is balanced, and it is very easy to pass the exam only if you are regular in your classes, if you are basically serious in your studies and you are committed with your you can say studies, and you build correct concepts and proper concepts, and your concepts are actually clear. Basically, there is no need for rote learning, or what you can say cramming. All right. So all you need is, you need your concepts to be clear, and this will help you in achieving your passing marks in this exam that are equal to 50%. All right. So my dear friends, section A is also equally important, section B is also equally important, and all the questions are basically compulsory, means that you have no choice. All right. So my dear friends, your task for today is that you have to go through your book that we will share with you, and you have to read the section A of your book that is actually related to this material, this portion, helping you to pass. This portion will help you to understand how you have to use the study guide. Moreover, it will also let you know your exam pattern and the recommended approach how you use this book. All right, and you will also find out different methodologies of how you can actually attempt this paper and pass it. So other than this, my dear friends, what you have to do, you also have to read this part A, chapter number 1, and whatever I have told you about data information, I want you guys to give a quick reading at home, and then we will discuss these things in detail in our next lecture. Thank you.